The massive screens inside NORAD's command center flickered with unusual activity. Red dots appeared at the edge of the solar system. First one, then 10, then hundreds. Admiral Robert Stone stood frozen, coffee cup halfway to his lips, as he watched the impossible unfold before his eyes. "Sir, we're detecting objects larger than anything we've ever seen," reported Captain Tom Wilson, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "They're moving in formation. This isn't natural." The room fell silent as more data poured in. These weren't asteroids or any known celestial bodies. They were ships. Massive ships, each one larger than Earth's biggest cities. "Get me the president," Stone ordered, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "And contact every major military command worldwide. We need everyone on this. Now." Before the calls could be made, every screen in the facility suddenly went dark. Then, one by one, they lit up with the same message, displayed in perfect English. "To the inhabitants of Sol 3, designation, Earth. The Galactic Empire claims this system. Submit to imperial rule or face immediate extinction. You have one planetary rotation to respond." Stone's coffee cup slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. Nobody moved to clean it up. Within hours, leaders from every nation gathered through secure video links. The Chinese premier, Russian president, American president, and representatives from every country faced the same reality. Humanity was no longer alone, and their first contact was an empire that viewed Earth as nothing more than another conquest. "They're giving us a day to surrender," the British Prime Minister said, his face grim on the screen. "Their technology must be centuries ahead of ours." Admiral Stone studied the scans of the Imperial fleet. Their ships showed no signs of damage or wear. This wasn't a battle fleet. This was a standard occupation force. They didn't expect resistance. They didn't expect a fight. "They think we're primitive," Stone realized aloud. "Look at their formation. They're following textbook invasion protocols, like they've done this 1,000 times before." The Russian president leaned forward. "Then they don't know humans very well, do they?" As the hours ticked by, Earth's military forces moved with unprecedented cooperation. Old rivalries were forgotten in the face of extinction. Nuclear weapons were prepared, experimental weapons were activated, and every soldier and pilot on Earth readied for what might be humanity's last stand. The deadline approached. Stone stood before the Global Council, his plan simple but daring. "We send them one message," he said. "We tell them to look up Earth's history, to study who they're dealing with. That's all." "A warning?" asked the Indian Prime Minister. "Against that fleet." Stone nodded. "They think we're sheep waiting for slaughter. Let's show them we're wolves they shouldn't have woken." The message was sent, brief and clear. "Before you proceed, we advise you to study Earth's history. This is your only warning." The response came quickly. "Primitive threats from a primitive species. Prepare for imperial rule." Stone looked at the assembled leaders of Earth and allowed himself a grim smile. They really should have done their homework first. The invasion fleet began to move, and humanity prepared for a fight unlike any in its violent history. The Empire was about to learn why you should always research your opponents before declaring war. Deep within NORAD's mountain fortress, Dr. Mark Miller paced before a wall of screens displaying Earth's military history. The room was packed with generals, admirals, and strategic commanders from across the globe, all gathered for what might be humanity's last war council. "Look at this data," Miller said, pointing to a timeline. "Humans went from first flight to landing on the moon in just 66 years. From basic radio to quantum communications in less than a century. Our rate of technological advancement is unprecedented." General Williams stood up, his weathered face illuminated by the screens. "And our military evolution. Even more impressive," Miller replied, pulling up new images. "World War I, horses, and basic planes. World War IA, nuclear weapons and radar. Today, AI-driven combat systems, and hypersonic missiles. We adapt faster than any species we know of. The room erupted in discussion. Military leaders from countries that were once bitter enemies now worked together, sharing secrets and strategies. The Chinese general offered access to their quantum radar system. The Russian admiral revealed details about their new electromagnetic pulse weapons. The empires made a crucial mistake, Admiral Stone announced, silencing the room. They expect us to fight like them, with rigid protocols and standard tactics. But that's not humanity's way. Satellite feeds showed the Imperial fleet approaching Mars, their massive ships moving in perfect, predictable formations. Their technology was centuries ahead, but their tactics hadn't changed in generations. They're fighting a war by numbers, the British commander observed, like following a bloody instruction manual. Dr. Miller nodded eagerly. Exactly. They've evolved to rely completely on technological superiority. But humans, he paused, bringing up images of guerrilla warfare, resistance movements, and innovative battlefield tactics. We thrive on chaos. We improvise. We adapt. The Indian general leaned forward. When Napoleon invaded Russia, he had superior technology and numbers. The Russians burned their own cities to deny him victory. When faced with tanks, resistance fighters made homemade explosives. The Polish commander added. When faced with bombers, we developed radar and anti-aircraft guns. Stone walked to the center of the room. We've spent our entire history fighting against superior forces. It's what we do best. The Empire thinks they're invading a primitive world. Instead, they're walking into a fight with a species that turned warfare into an art form. The screen suddenly lit up with new data. The Imperial fleet had begun its final approach to Earth. Their formation was perfect, their strategy exactly as predicted by their military manuals. They never bothered to study us, Stone said quietly. Never wondered why a primitive species would dare to warn them. Well, they're about to learn. The room fell silent as Stone activated the global command network. Billions of humans waited for the coming storm, ready to show the Empire why Earth's history was filled with tales of the underdog winning against impossible odds. Send the final message, Stone ordered. Tell them one last time. You should have studied our history. Everything that happens next is on them. The Empire's response was predictable. Prepare for standard pacification protocols. Stone looked at the assembled leaders and smiled grimly. Standard. They have no idea what's coming. In the gleaming halls of the Imperial Analysis Center, Commander John Reed of Earth sat before the Empire's High Council, a captured officer now serving an unexpected purpose, explaining what the Empire's analysts had discovered about humanity's history. Show them, ordered the Imperial Archon, his metallic voice echoing through the chamber. Reed activated the holographic display, and Earth's history of warfare filled the room. The Council watched in growing unease as centuries of combat evolution played out before them. Your civilization spent most of its history fighting itself, asked one council member, their crystalline eyes widening. Yes, Reed replied calmly. Every war taught us something new. Every defeat led to innovation. Every victory sparked new technologies. The display showed the rapid evolution of warfare, from spears to guns, from horses to tanks, from propeller aircraft to stealth bombers. But it wasn't just the technology that concerned the Council, it was the tactics. These guerrilla warfare techniques, another council member spoke, they go against all established military doctrine. Reed smiled slightly. That's the point. When facing a stronger enemy, humans change the rules. We don't fight fair, we fight to win. The Imperial military commander stepped forward, his armor gleaming. But your weapons are primitive compared to ours. Your ships can barely leave your atmosphere. True, Reed acknowledged. But humans went from basic flight to landing on the moon in a single lifetime. How long did it take the Empire to achieve the same? The room fell silent. The answer was thousands of years. And look here, Reed continued, showing footage of human special forces training. We prepare for every scenario. Urban warfare, Arctic combat, desert operations, underwater fighting. We adapt to any environment. The Council watched as images of human ingenuity played out. Soldiers turning household items into weapons, civilians transforming cities into fortresses, scientists converting peaceful technology into defensive systems. Most concerning, the head analyst reported, is their response to technological disadvantages. When faced with superior weapons, they don't surrender. They innovate. They improvise. They overcome. The display showed the ultimate example, the nuclear age. Your species developed atomic weapons. A council member asked, horrified. And then we developed ways to survive them, Reed replied. Bunkers, countermeasures, new tactics. Every threat makes us stronger. The Imperial Archon raised a hand, silencing the room. You're saying we should withdraw, because of their potential. I'm saying you should have heeded our warning, Reed answered. Earth isn't just another primitive world to conquer. It's a planet where survival of the fittest has created a species that thrives on overcoming superior forces. The screens now showed current battles, Imperial forces facing unexpected resistance, human defenders using the Empire's own technology against them in ways their creators never imagined. Your mistake, Reed concluded, wasn't in attacking Earth. Your mistake was giving us time to prepare and access to your technology. We're not just fighting your invasion. We're learning from it, adapting, evolving, and we're doing it faster than you can respond. The council chamber erupted in urgent discussion. For the first time in its history, the Empire faced an enemy that didn't follow the rules, because they made their own. The first wave of Imperial ships entered Earth's atmosphere with perfect military precision. Their formation was flawless, their approach exactly as their ancient manuals dictated. That was their first mistake. General David West watched from his underground command center as humanity's trap was sprung. Now, he ordered quietly. Thousands of seemingly primitive radar stations suddenly activated, but they weren't radar at all. They were retrofitted Imperial communication devices, salvaged from scout ships and rebuilt by human engineers. The Imperial fleet's supposedly unbreakable encryption crumbled in seconds. They're broadcasting in the clear, a technician reported, grinning. Every command, every formation change, every backup plan. We can hear it all. The Imperial commander's voice filled the command center. Begin standard planetary pacification, pattern Delta 7. They really do everything by the book, West muttered. Lieutenant, show them why that's a bad idea. Earth's response was anything but standard. Missiles launched from hidden silos, but instead of targeting the Imperial ships, they detonated in seemingly random patterns. The Empire's sensors registered them as failed attacks. Then the trap closed. The explosion patterns had created a complex web of electromagnetic disturbances, something the Empire had never encountered. Their ships' advanced shields, designed to stop physical attacks, did nothing against this invisible net. Magnetic bottle complete, reported the Indian science team. Their ships are trapped in our artificial magnetic field. The Imperial fleet attempted to adjust, following their manual's instructions for unexpected situations, but humans had already predicted their response. Every countermeasure the Empire deployed was met with 3 human countermeasures, developed and deployed in the mere weeks since first contact. Sir, called out the communication officer, the Empire is requesting to speak with our commander. West straightened his uniform. Put them through. The Imperial fleet commander appeared on screen, his expression a mixture of confusion and anger. This is impossible. Your weapons are primitive. Your technology is centuries behind ours. True, West replied, but we've had your tech to study for weeks now. And humans are very, very good at learning from their enemies. As if to emphasize his point, a squadron of Earth fighters appeared, cobbled together from stolen Imperial technology and human innovation. They moved in ways Imperial ships couldn't, combining alien tech with human unpredictability. Your ships are designed for efficiency, West explained. Ours are designed for war. Your pilots follow protocols. Ours improvise. You fight by the book. We burn the book and write a new one. The Imperial commander watched in horror as his perfect formation fell apart. Human tactics made no sense by Imperial standards. They took impossible risks, used their own ships as weapons, and somehow turned the Empire's technological advantages against them. This is not how warfare is conducted, the Imperial commander protested. West smiled grimly. No, this is how humans wage war. We warned you to study our history. This is just the beginning. The first wave of the Imperial invasion force, the same fleet that had conquered 1,000 worlds, retreated in disarray. They had expected a primitive civilization. Instead, they found humanity, a species that had turned warfare into an art form and survival into a science. As the Imperial ships fled Earth's orbit, West activated the Global Command Channel. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2, the counterattack. The underground resistance base hummed with activity as Dr. Lisa Parker examined the captured Imperial technology. What started as scattered guerrilla groups had evolved into a global network of innovation cells, each dedicated to turning the Empire's weapons against them. Look at this, she said, pointing to a dismantled Imperial rifle. They designed it to be impossible to modify. Made it so complex that primitive species couldn't understand it. She picked up another rifle beside it. Sleeker, deadlier. It took us 3 days to not only understand it but improve it. The resistance fighters around her nodded. They'd seen this pattern repeatedly. Imperial technology, designed for perfection but vulnerable to human ingenuity. What the Empire saw as primitive, humans saw as opportunities for innovation. Their biggest mistake, Parker continued, activating a holographic display, was assuming we couldn't understand their tech. They encrypted everything with quantum locks, thinking we'd need centuries to crack them. She smiled. They didn't count on human hackers who spent their lives breaking unbreakable systems. The display showed the results of their work. Imperial ships, now controlled by human pilots, flew with a reckless efficiency that horrified their former masters. Imperial weapons, modified beyond their original specifications, performed in ways their designers had never imagined. Status report, came Admiral Stone's voice through the command channel. Cell 7 reporting, Parker responded. We've successfully reversed-engineered their shield technology. Better yet, we found a way to bypass it completely. Explanation. They designed their shields to be perfect barriers, but they never considered someone would find a way through without breaking them. We're not trying to destroy their shields, we're phase-shifting right through them. The Empire's response to these developments was predictably rigid. They deployed countermeasures according to their military doctrine, only to find that humans had already developed countermeasures. They're still fighting the war they know. One of the engineers observed, "We're fighting the war that works." Reports flooded in from resistance cells worldwide. In Africa, fighters had adapted Imperial hover technology to navigate terrain that the Empire's vehicles couldn't handle. In South America, guerrilla groups had turned the rainforest itself into a weapon, using modified Imperial sensors to create invisible killing zones. Most interesting development, Parker reported, is how their own tech is evolving in our hands. Their weapons were designed to be perfect but static. We're making them adaptable, unpredictable. The Empire had expected to find a primitive species struggling with basic spaceflight. Instead, they found humanity at its most creative, backed into a corner, armed with advanced technology, and absolutely refusing to submit. Tell Command, Parker ordered. Project Phoenix is ready. The Empire gave us the tools to reach the stars. Time to show them how humans use their gifts. The resistance base erupted in activity as the next phase began. The Empire had wanted to conquer Earth. Instead, they had armed humanity with exactly what they needed to take the fight to the stars. The Imperial High Command's emergency session was broadcast across their 1,000 worlds. The Empire's greatest military minds gathered to face an uncomfortable truth. They were losing to a species they had dismissed as primitive. "Impossible," muttered the Grand Marshal, watching footage of Imperial ships being outmaneuvered by human-modified vessels. "They're using our own technology in ways that violate basic physics." "No," corrected Admiral Thompson, the captured human officer they'd brought to explain their failure. "We're using your technology in ways you never imagined. There's a difference." The display showed human innovations spreading across space. Imperial outposts reported their supposedly unhackable systems being breached. Space stations discovered their perfect defenses had hidden weaknesses that only human ingenuity could exploit. "You don't understand," Thompson continued. "The Empire builds everything to be perfect, unchangeable. Humans, we see technology as a starting point, not a finished product." The Grand Marshal slammed his fist down. "Your species barely had spaceflight when we arrived. Our technology took thousands of years to perfect. And that's why you're losing." Thompson replied calmly. "You spent thousands of years perfecting your technology. We spent thousands of years perfecting our ability to adapt." New reports flooded in. Human forces had reverse-engineered Imperial warp drives, but instead of copying them exactly, they'd modified them in ways the Empire's scientists claimed were suicidal. The modifications worked. "Look at your own data," Thompson said, pointing to the battle statistics. "Every Imperial ship follows the same protocols, uses the same tactics. They're perfect, but predictable. Our ships, each one might fight differently. We learn, we adjust, we improvise." The Imperial Council watched in growing horror as their perfect military machine was systematically dismantled by human unpredictability. Strategies that had worked for millennia failed against an enemy that refused to fight by the rules. "Your Empire's greatest weakness," Thompson explained, "is your belief in perfection. You stopped innovating because you thought you'd achieved the ideal. Humans, we don't believe in perfect. We believe in better." The Grand Marshal studied the human carefully. "You're saying we should surrender. I'm saying you should have listened to our warning. Earth wasn't a primitive world waiting to be conquered. It was a crucible where adversity created a species that thrives on overcoming superior forces." As if to emphasize his point, new alarms blared. Human forces had discovered how to use Imperial terraforming technology as a weapon. They weren't just fighting the Empire. They were reshaping the battlefield itself. "The choice is yours," Thompson concluded. "But remember, every day this war continues. Humans learn more, adapt more, evolve more. You're not fighting the primitives you found a few months ago. You're fighting what we're becoming." For the first time in its 10,000-year history, the Galactic Empire retreated. Not a tactical withdrawal, not a strategic redeployment, but a full retreat from Earth and its surrounding space. Admiral Stone watched from the newly established Lunar Command Center as Imperial ships vanished into hyperspace. The view screen showed Earth below, scared but undefeated. More importantly, it showed humanity's new fleet, ships that combined Imperial technology with human ingenuity in ways that had shocked the galaxy. "Final Imperial transmission decoded," reported Lieutenant Peters. "They're declaring Earth a restricted zone. Classification: extreme hazard." Stone allowed himself a small smile. "What's their official reason?" "Species demonstrates unprecedented technological adaptation rate. Warning: will achieve military parity within 1 standard year. Projected to exceed Imperial capabilities within 5 years." The command center erupted in cheers, but Stone raised his hand for silence. "Show me the galactic map," he ordered. The holographic display activated, showing Earth's position in the galaxy. New markers appeared: Imperial worlds, trade routes, military bases, all the information they'd extracted from captured Imperial databases. "They came to conquer us," Stone said, addressing the global command network. "Instead, they gave us the stars." Dr. Parker's voice came through the comm system. "Initial analysis of Imperial databases complete. Their technology was perfect, but stagnant. They haven't made a major technological breakthrough in over 1,000 years. And us? Stone asked. We've already improved their faster-than-light drives by 40%. Their energy weapons are 60% more efficient in our modified versions. And that's just the beginning. Reports flowed in from around the solar system. Human colonies on Mars used modified Imperial terraforming technology to speed up the planet's transformation. Asteroid mining operations employed improved versions of Imperial extraction equipment. Earth's shipyards produced vessels that made Imperial designs look obsolete. They never understood, Stone mused. Their warning system now marks Earth as a death world, a planet so dangerous it should be avoided at all costs. But they're wrong. Earth isn't a death world. It's an innovation world. The display showed humanity's rapid expansion into space, where Imperial colonies took centuries to establish. Humans did it in months. Where Imperial mining operations followed strict protocols, humans found better ways. Send this message to all human settlements. Stone ordered. Phase 1 complete. Earth is secured. Begin Phase 2. Peaceful exploration and expansion. We've shown the galaxy what humans can do in war. Now let's show them what we can do in peace. The response came back unanimous. Humanity had been given access to the stars, and they would do what they had always done: adapt, improve, and grow stronger. The Empire's invasion had failed, but it had succeeded in something else, awakening a species that would reshape the galaxy. Final entry for the historical record. Stone dictated. The Empire came to Earth expecting to find primitives. They found humans instead. Their one warning went unheeded, and the galaxy will never be the same. As the last Imperial ships disappeared from long-range sensors, humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with anticipation. The Empire had meant to conquer Earth. Instead, they had given humanity the key to the galaxy, and humans would use it in ways the Empire had never imagined.